Once again, okay. Once again, it's on, and she's coming on. I'm talking about the one and only GA for Justice. She's on the scene, just like a gangster lean from back in the day. She's a gangster now, you know, because she's got her own talk show, you know. She can do that. I'm talking about the one and only, the community activist, Miss Georgia Allen.
Hello, hello. Once again, it's Thursday. And thank you so very much. Again, I am Georgia F. Allen with GA for Justice. And I come to you every single week, every week. And to just kind of bring a conversation to you. Again, today, it is Why So Messy? I know everybody's been looking at the national news, the local news, what's going on all around town. And things are really getting messy. As always, I like to remind people, vote. We always have elections in the city of Virginia Beach, in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But today, again, the topic is Why So Messy? Our KWANZAA principle is NIA, or purpose. And the purpose is to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. So we need to get rid of the messiness and get back to our traditional greatness. Today's faith message is Proverbs 16:9. A person plans his course, but the Lord directs his steps. So as we go through and we move into our purpose, remember, you have to depend on somebody greater than yourself. You have to depend on somebody greater than yourself. And now I don't know who you worship or how you worship or anything like that, but I will assure you that you definitely need something a little bit bigger, as the song used to say, somebody bigger than you or I. And I bring you greetings today. Yes, it's Thursday, and I am Georgia F. Allen, and this is GA for Just Is. As always, I want to thank Mr. Henderson Vaughn, a.k.a. Captain 85, a.k.a. The Dream Maker, and we are live on WVDM. He has opened up the airwaves to bring our listening audience a simple conversation for information, a conversation for correction whenever necessary, as well as a conversation for transformation. My disclaimer, many of you are aware that I have worked in civil rights and have been a community activist for decades, a long time. Therefore, the various positions that I take are mine and mine alone. I do not speak on behalf of any groups or organizations. So y'all, let's talk. Let's talk about this messy situation we appear to be in at this time. It's messy out there, y'all. Everywhere we turn, everywhere we look, there is messiness going on all over the place. So let's take a look for a minute. Why is everything so messy? Ask ourselves that question. Take a look in the mirror. Are we messy because of one another? What is creating this messiness that seems to be everywhere? And if there's this messiness, could it be because, one, we have forgotten our purpose? Started out talking about our purpose. Why are we not working to develop our community, build and develop our community in a manner that restores us and our people to our traditional greatness? Perhaps we forgot our purpose. Perhaps we forgot why we are here. Again, there is a plan. We have plans. We have individual plans. We should have family plans. We should have group plans of some sort. But we also need to remember who directs our steps. How do we get to our destination in all this messiness? How do we get to the destination with all this messiness going on? And then we want to know, did we lose our direction? Because we don't seem to have a purpose. So obviously we're spinning our wheels. We're not going in a specific direction, trying to reach a specific destination. In order to get to a destination, you kind of have to follow a road map. You can't just say, I hope that I get there. I'm just going to get in my car, and guess what? I'm going to New York City. But I never picked up a map. I never identified where New York City was. Didn't take a look at the GPS. I just got in my car and I started driving, headed for a destination, but don't know where I'm headed. Just gonna get in the car and drive. And then finally, have we misplaced our values? Are we operating without a real purpose, without real direction, no destination, and misplaced values? Because all of those things will help to determine our outcome. Okay? That's going to help determine our outcome. If we really don't have a destination, we'll know what direction to go in. If we don't have a purpose, if we don't have a why, then we really can't set a particular goal. And if we don't have the values that we need to bring us together as a community, as a family, as groups or organizations, if we don't have the right type of values, our values begin to be very misplaced. And so you have these people roaming all over the place. No specific goals in mind, no specific direction, and no specific destination. And I think right now, this is where we are as a nation. We got somebody, a thing, that is supposedly the captain of the ship, but he gets there and he doesn't even know how to turn the wheel. He doesn't know how to drive the boat. Chesapeake Animal Services is just one of so therefore, when you're in a situation like that, you create a lot of problems for everybody. Not just for yourself, but you create problems for everybody. Okay, and we need to end the messiness.
The goal is to socialize them. They're useful people. So our fosters, we give all the supplies. So formula.
So what are we going to do? What are we going to do about it?
We also do their medical.
What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about the messiness that we're in? What changes are we going to make? Because it is going to take some changes. It's going to take some changes. It's going to take us working together to determine what is the mess and how to go about fixing this messiness that we find ourselves in today. And believe me, we are in a messy situation, and messiness is all around us everywhere we turn. We have messiness within our own selves. We can be messy sometimes. We can be very messy sometimes. Okay. Not only can we be messy, but we sometimes have to get a little petty because we're dealing with a lot of foolishness out there. And so we have to ask ourselves, do I want to be petty right now? Do I want to be messy right now? Or do I want to let that just go on by and leave it alone and forget about it? We can also be messy in our families. As we also can have messy families, period. We could have folks in our families that are some of the messiest people you ever did want to see. And you're like, where did these folks come from? They were raised by the same mom, dad. They were raised by the same grandma. They were raised by aunties and uncles. And they just as messy as all get up. Just messiness everywhere. So why so messy? Why? And I keep asking myself, because I'm out here in the community and I'm like, why so messy? When I go to school board meetings and city council, because see, we find our friends are messy. The community is messy. Our government is messy. Sometimes we have messy legislation and messy laws. And then when they vote on budgets, that gets messy because the way they allocate it is not fair and equitable. So the allocations are even messy. Sometimes the operations of our government is messy. Take a look at Washington, D.C., closing down, shutting down, firing, hiring, putting people in office that has a brain of a peanut. I would say a third grader. I would say a fifth grader, but that would be an insult to our young people, our third graders and our fifth graders, because those folks that have been placed in positions in Washington, D.C., many of them can't even shake a stick to our third graders and our fifth graders. So I would even compare them. I said, they don't even have the intelligence of a peanut. Okay. And that's sad because it creates another messy situation, which is what we're dealing with right now with the changes in the budget and what they're going to fund and what they're not going to fund. Let's take a look at some of the other messiness of this administration. We have states out there like Kentucky and West Virginia and Arkansas and Tennessee going through all types of catastrophes, tornadoes, rain, flooding, all types of stuff. Those states did what? They paid their taxes and they sent their federal dollars to the federal government. And what was that federal government supposed to do? There's a little thing called FEMA. FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Administration. FEMA is supposed to then, when a state declares a national emergency, assist those states. Well, when that does not happen, what happens? It gets messy out there, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Many of these states are the same states that decided they'd rather have this dude in office than to have a competent female. They said, oh, well, let's just put him in office. Oh, he's our friend. It was very interesting to see the messiness of Sarah Huckabee Sanders begging the guy that she used to work for to give her state money after I think she had lost 8 lives. Houses was gone. Tornadoes had torn down the houses and buildings and things of that nature. And it really got messy. Got real messy. Why so messy? Because you chose to make a decision with regards to how you voted. And guess what? Voting has consequences. And your consequences became very, very, very messy. Very messy. Because some people don't believe that they have to live by any types of rules or regulations. So it turns out we have what? A hot mess on our hands right now in our nation. We have a hot mess because money that went to the federal government to be allocated and spread back into the communities as needs arise, this administration has chosen, we don't need FEMA. Let's cut the FEMA budget. Let's don't do that because we just don't want to do that. Even when people from the states that gave him their votes, he turned around, turned his back on them, and went to the golf course. But the folks' houses are just falling to the ground. And I don't think he's visited them yet. But guess what? When President Biden was in office, these people disrespected President Biden. But guess what? He never said, I'm going to send you money because you're in a red state or blue state or whatever. He said, I'm going to send you money because you're an American. Imagine that. Someone that operates in a manner that says, I'm going to do things for you because you are a citizen just like anybody else. Whether you're a part of my party or not, whether you voted for me or not, I am still going to send you money in cases of emergency. But we have messiness going on right now. Because this guy, he won't even send money to the people that voted for him. And chuckles about it, thinks it's funny. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. So let's take a look at our local government and how messy our local government can be sometimes. Let's look at our school board. We had a school board that decided to vote on a resolution to remove DEI under the pretense that they were trying to stay in compliance with an executive order that was sent to them, a little letter by the current Washington, D.C. administration. Now, isn't that kind of odd? Because there were a number of different school systems right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia that said, no, we will not do a resolution and we will not cancel our DEI. So what was the real reason? Because it got messy. What was the real reason that they decided that they wanted to get rid of DEIA? As they decided that they needed a school for children who had opioid problems and they were dealing with so much. And guess how many children that school is supposed to help? 10. 10. Jesus had 12 disciples and they're going to only help 10 people? 10 children? Really? Messy. That's what messiness looks like. That's what it looks like. Now that's messy. I think it's somewhere around $500,000 to do the school. Messy. For 10 children. 10. You got something you want to share, Henderson?
Well, it's like everything that he's doing when you listen to all the talk shows and hosts. He just want to disrespect black people. It's the bottom line. Like when he did his the speech to the nation, what did he say? Out of all the things he said, he kept focusing in, see, those people over there, they're not going to applaud for me. So now he's angry because none of the people in Congress or the Senate stood up and applauded him. So his way of getting your attention is, now I'm going to do you what you did to me. That's all he does. Like what he did with the African person from Africa, try to make him, shameful. But then you bring in all the white Africans here saying that they're being killed and you're not protected.
Mistreated. Oh, they taking our land.
Hello.
I can understand if you invaded someone else's nation.
Right.
You extorted from someone else's nation.
Hello.
Tell me, when they say, I want my land back.
Right.
I want my nation back. How are you being discriminated against? When I looked at, this is what I looked at. I said, well, shucks. Mm-hmm. I said, when they kidnapped us and brought us over here.
Right.
And held us in bondage for over 200 years. When they said, oh, well, enslavement is over. And then immediately tell us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. I suggest to those white Africans that invaded Africa.
Yeah.
How about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps? Give them their land back.
Hello.
How about that? Because you made it messy, because you didn't have to go there. I didn't see, I in all my reading, I've never read where there was an invitation sent out around the world asking you to come to Africa. Do you know of an invitation?
Nope.
Because I don't know of one. I don't know of an invitation inviting these folks from all these different European countries and say, come on, we would love to have you visit with us and break bread with us. Never saw it.
Yeah.
Got messy. That was messy for them to come over to someone else's country and then want to complain that they're being discriminated against. But yet and still, they still have over 60% of the land.
Yeah.
And they're what? 10% of the population? Why you got so much land?
Right.
Why? And these are just numbers thrown up in the air. These are not factual numbers, just so that people know, because they'll come back and say, oh, well, I looked it up and I saw that it was actually this. Okay.
Well, they got a piece of land for free.
They got a piece of land.
Right. Stolen land.
Took it.
Yeah.
Okay. They took it. Nobody said, hey, we want to give you some land. That was not this situation.
Yeah.
Didn't say we want to give you some land. We have a love for you. We have a heart for you. And so therefore we want to give you some land. That was not the conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation was, I see something that I want. I see something that I like, and I'm going to take it.
Take it.
Very different. Let's talk a little bit more about Virginia Beach and their messiness. So I went back because of someone that I know suggested how much the budget was in 2022 and how much the budget is today. So of course you got to go back and you got to do your own research because they might be slightly off. So let's talk about messy Virginia Beach. In 2015, the city of Virginia Beach had a budget of $1.87 billion. $1.87 billion. In 2022, they had a budget of $2.8 billion. And in 2025, right now, they now have a budget of $2.78 billion, which is just slightly below what they had in 2022. But what's interesting about this is we went from 1.87 billion to 2.8 for a little while. And we dropped down to 2.78, which is basically $2.8 billion. So explain to me, in 10 years from 2015 to 2025, how in the name of land did we have to increase the budget by almost another whole $1 billion? Messy. And when I saw that, I said, why so much money? Have you seen any fabulous things that have taken place in this city? Have you seen poverty go down in this city? Have you seen housing improve in this city? Because where's the money going?
Hello.
We're talking $1 billion in 10 years. $1 billion. So that means all this money I'm paying in taxes that obviously they don't need it, because there's no way in the world we've had that much new capital improvement, because it definitely is not our roads. Definitely not our neighborhoods. Definitely not the sidewalks and the egress and the other grass and all these. I'm being facetious now.
Right.
But where's the money going to? What's happening to all this money? And really, we need to take a real close look at 2015 and 2025. We need to take a look at what changed so much that we needed a whole $1 billion in 10 years, a whole nother $1 billion. And so I looked around, I said, our community better? The neighborhoods? Can we see any major improvement in services? Because last I checked, we still have homeless in Virginia Beach. So in that $1 billion, you couldn't find enough funds to put in housing to get our homeless veterans and others off the street. You got $1 billion, a whole $1 billion in 10 years. Has any of the programs improved? Are they beneficial? Do we see any enhancements? Any positive outcomes? Do our young people feel safer in their schools? Where's the money being allocated to? And what significant returns have we seen on the dollars that our city is currently spending? You know, it started to boggle my mind. And of course, I'm going to have to go back and take a look at this and maybe get an accountant to sit beside me and help me look at this, because this really disturbed me. I'm kind of glad that the gentleman suggested that, you know, the amount that the city was spending a few years ago had increased substantially. Now, that is not quite right. It increased substantially between 2015 and 2025. So let's clear that up right here and right now. Mm-hmm. It's approximately $1 billion in 10 years. And I want to know, have we received $1 billion in services over this 10-year period of time? Because they keep saying they had no money to rebuild Betty F. Williams Elementary School. Now, if you got $1 billion laying around that you could just throw in our budget, and you can't rebuild Betty F. Williams Elementary School, you can't allocate designated funds for that school and that school alone. We need to ask the questions. So for those of you who are listening to me today, let's ask some questions. Let's go before city council. Let's go before school board, and let's ask the questions. All righty. I think we're coming up for a break. Announcements, acknowledgments, and commemoration. I want to share that Virginia Beach NAACP Town Hall meeting was a success. Do we have more work to do? Absolutely. It was held at Poolside Cafe at 6 p.m. this past Monday, May the 19th. And if you missed it, you really missed an excellent opportunity to talk directly with the school superintendent and ask questions of him, meet him personally, and you had an opportunity to also ask questions of members of the school board who were present. We had 2 school board members present, and we had our school superintendent present. And yes, that's me. Hi, my face. I'm just kidding. But these are opportunities, and I want to encourage our community. Don't pass up opportunities to speak and meet with our elected officials. With that being said, we're going to move on with our next announcement. Guess what? Primaries is now, and those photos can stay up. It's okay for those photos to stay up. You can turn from one to another. That's just us being out in the community and meeting with people, talking to them, and hopefully making a difference in our city. So right now it's primary elections Monday through Friday. I want to say it's like 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m. in the evening. If you haven't voted, go out and vote. Okay, the primary elections is going to take place from now. It started, I want to say like May 2nd. It's going to end on June the 14th for early voting, early primary voting. That's what's taking place right now. Now, when you do a primary election, when you go to vote, you do have to request a ballot. You don't go in and then they just automatically give you a ballot. You have to say whether or not you want a Democrat ballot or whether or not you want a Republican ballot. So I'm going to quickly tell you who's on the Democratic ballot this year. And the Republicans are going through some challenges. So I'm not 100% who's on their ballot this year. But right now, we have primary election on the Democratic ballot for the lieutenant governor and the attorney general. So you will have to ask for a ballot. And on that ballot, it will allow you to vote for either one of the candidates that's running in the lieutenant governor race. And I believe there are 6 candidates. And you will have that on your ballot. And you will also have the attorney general candidates on your ballot. And there are only 2 people running in that primary. Now, once this is over, you will now have the candidate on the ticket to run in November for the lieutenant governor and attorney general. Now, here in Virginia Beach, we have the 97th district for the House of Delegates for the Republican Party, and they have 2 candidates running in their primary. So whoever wins that primary, that person will run against the Democratic candidate who is running unopposed. So therefore, he does not have a primary election. I hope that helps you in trying to understand primary elections versus general election. So right now, we have primary elections. We have what we call early voting, and early voting ends on Saturday, June the 14th. But the actual election day is June 17th. And that is the election day, and that's when there will be more polling places open. Right now, the polling place is at the City Hall at the voter registrar's office. So for those of you who are saying, I think I want to go ahead and get this out of the way, Monday through Friday, there will be a weekend voting, and that will be the weekend of June the 14th. I hope that helps you out tremendously. Okay, now what else do we have in terms of announcements or acknowledgments and commemorations? I want to commemorate Minister Malcolm X. And I'm very upset with myself because usually I tell people today, not today, but May the 19th, the same day that the town hall was going on, was also the birthday of Malcolm X. And he would have been 100 years old. Minister Malcolm X was born May 19th, 2025. And unfortunately, he was assassinated on February the 21st, 1965, because it kind of went like this. It was Medgar Evers in 63, Malcolm X was assassinated in 65, and Dr. King was assassinated in 1968. So that's kind of how it went back then. Okay. Medgar was 63. It was 63, 65, and 68. And so we lost 3 civil rights giants during that period of time. Again, Malcolm would have been 100 years old. Minister Malcolm would have been 100 years old this past Monday, May the 19th. We also have Diane Nash. Her birthday was May 15th. She was born in 1938. And she is still alive. She is 87 years old. She was one of the freedom riders, desegregating lunch counters and public transportation, as well as interstate transportation. She was also one of the founders of the SNCC, or better known as SNCC, or the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Then we have Mary Patrice Davison Kenner. She was born May the 17th, 1912, and she passed away January the 13th, 2006, at the age of 93 years old. Now, Miss Kenner received 5 patents. Most notable was the adjustable sanitary belt. And for those of you who are a little older, back in the day, all women had to have that at once a month, generally, okay, when they were on their cycle. But she came from a family of inventors, and Miss Kenner invented several other items, but her father was also the inventor of the windshield wipers for trains. Imagine that. I think she had a sister that did some inventions, an uncle. So she was from a family of inventors. And her name again is Mary Patrice Davison Kenner, born May 17, 1912. And I kind of went back and looked for somebody different, because a lot of times when you ask for birthdays of people, of famous Black people, they give us all the musicians underneath the sun. And they sometimes don't give us enough about civil rights activists or even elected officials. They don't always give us information about them. And so I kind of try to filter and narrow the focus to hopefully get some new people. And I was glad to see Mary Patrice Davison Kenner pop up in my feed. With that being said, again, we still have a lot of work to do. Okay. Thank you for putting Minister Malcolm X up. Thank you so much. And I am wearing his button today. I'm wearing a button with Malcolm X on it. And I'm wearing my shirt with Harriet Tubman today as well, because after seeing so much messiness, I like to go back to her shirt that says, "I freed 1,000. I would have freed more if they only knew they were slaves." And so, working in the area of civil rights, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, that is Miss Mary Patrice Davison Kenner. Thank you so much. And let me tell you, that was a lifesaver back in the day. That was truly a lifesaver to have that sanitary belt to hold the sanitary napkins in place. Hopefully there are no little children listening. And if they are, hopefully your parents will explain this to you, because you need to know back in the day, there were different things that we had to do during our cycle that you guys don't have to deal with in today's time.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that being said, and with all the messiness that's going on, I just want to let you guys know there is hope. I had the opportunity to go to Tallwood High School yesterday, and they were basically celebrating the youth, the Black Student Union. They had a gathering where we more or less celebrated them and the work that they have been doing over the last year and longer. They have an excellent school. She's not a counselor. She's a person that assists her team of students to try to get them in places that they normally would not be. And so her name is Miss Kelly. I always get it confused. Crystal Kelly, yes, Miss Kelly. I always tell her, I said, you know what? With your name, I never know which one to put first, whether to put Kelly Crystal or Crystal Kelly. And does a wonderful job with our young people. But when I looked at the programs that the school system does offer, it's tremendous. And I look at the young people and what they are taking advantage of. It is also tremendous of what they're doing, but they're still missing opportunities. Yesterday when we were there, she talked to the students again about you have to apply for scholarships. You have to, make sure that you get your paperwork in on time, et cetera, et cetera. It turns out that there was a scholarship for the Black Male Summit. But with DEI, everybody can be a part of everybody. So if there's an Asian group that's in the school system, children from all different cultures can be a part of the Asian American group. If there's a Black summit, male summit, males from every different culture can be a part of that group. Well, I got there after the different awards were given, because I wasn't supposed to arrive until right around 2:00, and the awards was given earlier in the day. And guess who won the scholarship for the Black Male Summit? A white student, because he applied.
Hey.
He applied. So to all the Black counselors, to all the Black assistant principals, all the Black principals, all the teachers and others, all the community leaders, the churches, please tell our children to apply for scholarships. And especially scholarships that are coming directly from your own community. Apply for them. Thank you, Benita. By any means necessary, yes. Because obviously our children did not understand that they really needed to apply for a scholarship when it's coming from the African American Male Summit. So that's something that we might want to send over to our education committee and remind them that it's important that we encourage our young people to apply for scholarships. But the other thing that I heard from the students about, that's why I said we have hope. They talked about the Global Studies Academy that operates out of Tallwood High School. There's also a culinary program and a catering opportunities for students. And then one of the young people, because they can attend 2 schools or an academy and their home school, he went to the ATC, or the Advanced Technology Center, down at Tidewater Community College here in Virginia Beach, and he participated in the veterinarian program. So it allows him to get ahead of the game in terms of hopefully becoming a veterinarian doctor, which this is important. If these programs are available, we want to encourage our children to participate. I spoke to the young lady who's involved in the culinary, and she said, I started out learning, about, making different meals and doing things in the culinary arts. But then I decided I wanted to learn more. And so now she's working in the catering program, so that hopefully one day she will own her own business. She will have her culinary arts down, and she will know how to be a professional caterer. And so I want to say to my listening audience, it may be messy out here, but if we continue to encourage our young people, if we continue to focus on the opportunities that they do have and guide them in the right directions, then hopefully they won't have to be so messy when they get to our age. But there are a number of opportunities for our young people. Like I said, the Advanced Technology Center operating right there at Tidewater Community College is a combination of Virginia Beach City Public Schools working in concert with TCC. These are excellent opportunities to encourage our young people to get involved and to apply for these various academies. Don't allow these opportunities to go by. Now, I also want to say that earlier when I mentioned about the types of money that is being spent by our city government, we want to make sure that our council members are good stewards of the tax dollars that they receive from the residents, from the citizenry. And we want to make sure that the money is being allocated to our community more than they are being allocated to special interests. So here again is an opportunity to help get rid of some of the messiness. We want to make sure that this, what did I say? How many billions of dollars did I say? We up to $2.78 billion. Do you know that's almost $3 billion
Hello.
in 10 years? In 10 years, okay? They went from 1.87 to $2.78 billion. Okay. We want to make sure that they're not sending all of the money to special interests, to the ocean front. And we need to hold our elected officials accountable. We need to end the messiness. That's up to us. We also need to make sure that we're attending city council meetings and we're reading the agenda items. And if we don't understand, we need to make sure we build relationships with people who may have previously served on city council or school board that we can go to and ask about some of the things that they are doing. And what does this mean? How will it affect children? How will it affect my pocketbook? How will it affect? And we want to ask these questions. And then we want to make phone calls to them. We want to look at how they're voting. Take a look at how they're voting. Look at what they're voting on, and then look at how they vote for or against issues. And then make sure that we hold them accountable when they're voting against our best interests. We also want to take a look at our council members and see if there are times when we need to change course. Maybe we need to remove some of the council members. Maybe some of the council members are there and they're not doing the work that we hired them to do. There's such a thing called recall. So if we find a situation where we have elected officials who are not working in the best interest of the community, we want to take a look at how do we recall that particular elected official. Examine, that issue so that we're not continuing to support people who are not supporting our best interests. Again, as Minister Malcolm would say, by any means necessary. By any means necessary. And Harriet Tubman would just pull out her gun and say, look, she said you can either come or you can just die right here. That's it. You got two options. You either get on the train, Underground Railroad train, or guess what?
I'll be
I just go ahead on the. I was just gonna have to pull my gun out right now, okay? And I'm gonna have to leave you behind because I can't have you speaking to the perpetrators who do us harm, and now you have become my enemy because you are now telling them our business as I'm trying to free my people. Okay. All right. I'm looking at my clock. We are coming up to the closing again. Why so messy? Why so messy? I want you guys to think about this all throughout the week and the weekend and look at ways that we can unmess the messiness. I'm getting like Dr. King. Dr. King would make up some words like, and I'm like, whoa. But you tend to do that when you're in a situation where you find people doing things that are absolutely not right. And so there does not seem to be the right word to say for that particular issue. And so guess what? you make up a word. So we're going to unmess the messiness. So why so messy? Again, maybe we need to look at ourselves. What are we doing or not doing to change the outcomes? As individuals, as groups, as business owners, as activists, as our nonprofits, we must take a closer look at what is happening in our cities and our communities and decide what changes need to take place to avoid so much messiness. Again, I am Georgia F. Allen with GA for Justice, and I come to you every Thursday at 12 o'clock noon on the one and only WVDM radio show with our host, the person that makes this available to our listening audience, the one and only Captain 85, Mr. Henderson Vaughn. And thank you. We will see you next week. And our guest will be Mr. Chris Taylor. And he's going to be here to talk about public policy, the budget, and the importance of civic engagement. So we want to keep these shows going. We need your support. Subscribe. And Henderson will tell you the rest as I close for now.
All righty. Once again, a fantastic show, and bringing, as I quote Miss Georgia Allen, information for transformation. Absolutely. We need that. And if we get on this, share this video and this show with other people, we can build that formula. We can make that work, because more information we get out to the community, then we have more people at city council meetings and preventing some of these things that are happening that shouldn't be happening just because they want to do a vote, but it's because of how many people show up really is how they do it. And once again, thank you for doing your research and taking time out of your busy schedule. And of course, sharing this show and supporting, because like I tell people, you can't ask people to do work for free and you want to get money to advance your product or your services. It's hand in hand how money is exchanged. But in our community, if they can stop us from exchanging money with each other, then we are the one that's at the bottom and they're still running the top. But nevertheless, once again, GA for Justice, a fantastic show. Don't forget to join her next Thursday, same time, same place, and the same community channel, GA for Justice. Until next time we meet, y'all have a great day, and I'll see you somewhere on the internet. Bye-bye, y'all.